Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
It's the Anna podcast.
Wow, great. After all that.
I mean, what was it going to...
I don't know.
There's
It's the final flight of the podcast.
Okay, great. Congratulations.
It's
yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
fine. I just didn't want to...
My name's David Sims.
Oh, hi, everybody. My name's Griffin Newman.
And welcome to Blank Check with Griffin and David, the Podchowski casters, the final bonus episode.
I mean, I feel like you could have put a point on the colon in between the two things, but...
I'm trying to move beyond colons.
I am too, because I got horrible diarrhea today. Trying to move beyond this old colon.
Good night, everybody.
Got violent
Ben, turn off the podcast.
diarrhea.
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 Okay.
I'm having diarrhea Pullman. Hi, everybody. We are hashtag the two friends.
Correct.
You may not know this about us. This is sort of...
What that means is that we are two friends.
Right.
And we are the two friends.
This is the sort of proprietary thing that our podcast has going for it.
Right. That we are the two friends.
We are the two friends.
There are a lot of podcasts. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Maybe thousands.
I've heard.
Are they hosted by two friends?
No, and here's another thing. I've met a lot of people who are like, oh, this is my friend. We're friends. Have you ever heard of two friends?
1, 2.
Nope. We're 1, 2 friends. End of story.
Yep.
Hashtag it. Share it. Put it on a pog. Slam it. Share it with your friends.
So hot, they're cool. So cool, they're hot.
Was that the pogs?
That was the
catchphrase?
Pop-Tarts catchphrase.
Oh, yeah, put it on a Pop-Tart.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so this is, look, if it seems like we're avoiding the subject at hand, it's because, this is a bittersweet day. It's always
Sad.
kind of sad when we end a miniseries.
Yeah.
And we always do this kind of bonus episode.
I'm not going to be able to live without these guys. I really am going to miss the Wachowskis.
I love these folks.
Yeah.
They're the best. Lily and Lana Wachowski are good friends, directors of Bound, The Matrix, The Matrix Reloaded, God Bless You was their fourth feature film.
No, it wasn't.
The Matrix Revolutions, Speed Racer, Cloud Atlas, Jupiter Ascending, and the Netflix original series Sense8.
Right. That's what we've talked about, all these things.
Because that's what we do on this podcast.
We've watched dozens of hours of content and given you dozens of hours of content.
And that was just Sense8.
Woo!
Dozens of hours of content.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact for our listeners. After last week, when I binged all of Sense8 in one night, I then got sick and have been sick up until this very recording.
I heard you saying that. So is this, you're still sick, you're saying?
I'm getting over it. This is my last flight of the Phoenix or whatever, of the Osiris or whatever that fucking thing is called. I'm getting better. That's what's happening right now is I'm just pooping out the remaining sickness. I'm doing fine. But if I sound a little congesty, George Mucusy, that's what's going on there. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is what we do on this podcast is we pick filmmakers who had big success early on in their careers, and they got a blank check to make crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And the Wachowskis were subject for this miniseries, and now the book is closed. And the reason we do these bonus episodes, we just, we finish the filmography, and then we're left with all these remaining feelings that we need to put somewhere, right? So we pick a sort of...
Yeah, sort of just we can return to their aesthetic. We just pick like a little thing we can dip back into.
Here's like an adjacent piece of material.
Now,
so this is not something they directed.
No, it's not. Oh, the mistake we made with Shyamalan was that we watched The Buried Secret of M. Night Shyamalan, which was too weird for us to really spend much time in M. Night Shyamalan. We had to just talk about that weird thing.
It's one of my favorite episodes.
It's a good episode.
It's a good episode.
Johnny Depp kind of ruined it, though.
Good episode, though.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Johnny Depp's future horrible actions kind of ruined that episode because we're so excited about Johnny Depp in that episode.
When you're talking about the horrible actions, you mean Alice Through the Looking Glass, right?
Can we talk about Alice Through the Looking Glass for a second? For not Johnny Depp.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I reviewed it for the Atlantic.
Really?
Yes, I'm a film critic, and I reviewed it for the Atlantic.
How was that tomato looking?
I gave it a rotten tomato. I did because I get to pick.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to pick, but I like to pick when I put my entry.
Tell me about this movie.
Well, it's not good.
Yeah. Okay, I'd heard that.
And it's just interesting because it is a blank check movie, in a weird sort of a way. I mean, it's just a film where a lot of money has been lavished on something that I don't know that anyone can really understand why, except for money. Except for the original movie made a lot of money.
Yeah, but it's kind of a fool me once kind of thing. Like the original
100%.
made a lot of money, but no one really liked it.
It wasn't very popular. It came out 5 or 6 years ago. It's not 6 years ago.
It came out 6 years ago, and it came out 2 months after Avatar, when people were
and
like,
people were
what
like,
if every
3D?
movie's in 3D?
We're going to be in Wonderland. It's like we'll be there. And then the movie sucked. 6 years later, here comes a movie. It's called Alice Through the Looking Glass. It has no bearing. It's not adapted
to that
from
book.
the book.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
The book is in that book is in the first movie, I think. Yeah. And so I didn't really like the movie, but no one has agreed with me on this, but I've been trying to talk about it, and I have a podcast, so I can talk about it.
Please.
I think that Sacha Baron Cohen is terrific in it.
I've heard one other person say that.
Who,
I can't remember who it was, but some critic on Twitter said, I don't think anyone's calling out that Sacha Baron Cohen's really good.
He is so good. He plays time, the concept of
the
time.
abstract concept,
Basically as this somewhat snooty, sort of like unctuous, kind of persnickety little dude with a clockwork head. And he's great. And I just think every scene with him is great. And I just think it's a lost opportunity that no one's going to really ever talk about that performance or the obvious work he put into it.
Well, it was directed by James Bobin, who did the 2 recent Muppet movies,
like.
which I love. I like him a lot.
I love his work on Flight of the Conchords, which is very visually inventive.
He also directed all of the HBO Ali G series.
Yeah, right.
So it
He's
makes
got a
sense
long
that he got a
connection with
good
him,
performance of him because he also did a short film with Dimitri Martin, I think called 1221, about 13 years ago that I loved, that I watched over and over again when I was at the peak of my Dimitri Martin phase. I like James Bobin a lot. I like the recent Muppet movies. It's a bummer for me that that
he's been forced into this direction.
Yeah, because I think everyone probably told him it was it definitely feels like a waste of time. And they also probably told him oh man, this is easy. Everyone's gonna go see it. They saw the last one. You'll just make the money, just toe the line.
And it's a huge bomb. I mean, I assume it'll probably clean up enough worldwide to sort of forgive whatever they outlaid on it. But no, it's a disaster.
They're not gonna make money. They might not lose too much.
Sure. But I do worry about him, too. I agree with you. I think the film is better looking and more visually inventive than Burton's film.
Yeah.
I think he did a good job given the horrible script and stupid idea. But it's not good. But just wanted to shout out SBC. I think Sacha Baron Cohen's a great actor when he's not doing his own movies.
He's in a terrible career phase right now.
Yeah, he's not going to pull out of it. He's in a Russell Brand tailspin. I don't think he can pull out of it.
He also just signed on to do a Mandrake the Magician film, so he's not pulling out of it.
Which one of Russell or SBC?
SBC.
Ooh.
Just signed on to do a Mandrake the Magician film from the director of Gethard. You know that movie Gethard with Will Ferrell?
How dare you? It's Get Hard.
And Kevin Hart.
Is that Etan Cohen?
Yes, is directing Mandrake the Magician. James Bobin is supposed to do MIB 23 next, which is the Men in Black Jump Street crossover.
Jump Street
Here's
sequel.
the thing. I think James Bobin's got a great sense of comedy. I think he's one of the most visually inventive comedy directors.
He is at least was a visually inventive comedy director.
Well, he knows how to give sort of lightness of touch with performances and a good sort of pace and energy, but also get these kind of cool aesthetics into his stuff. It's annoying to me that all he's doing is brand management.
Yeah.
As someone who loves the Muppets, he's made his first 4 movies are going to be
big brands. Yeah.
Just taking over franchises that other people have established. And it's why can't he invent?
Yeah, make a weird little thing, dude. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. He always kind of has, though, because honestly, directing an HBO Ali G show and directing Flight of the Conchords is brand management in its own much smaller scale kind of way. There's the 2 established acts that he is giving a visual sense to. So maybe that's what it is. Those are some thoughts. Sacha Baron Cohen's really good in Hugo and Sweeney Todd and Alice Through the Looking Glass. He's good in so many movies that he didn't write.
Agreed. I have 2 final questions about Alice Through the Looking Glass before we talk about the movie we're talking about today, The Animatrix, okay?
Oh, and he's good in Les Mis. He's okay. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, he's fine in that. Yeah.
Shit the bed.
Okay, 2 important questions.
No, I'll answer any question.
How'd my baby Colleen Atwood do?
I mean, good.
A lot of costumes.
Yeah, it's very... I liked the time costume. I like the costumes. Alice is wearing this Chinese... trouser suit.
Yeah, I saw that. It looks like a rainbow vomited.
It's not great. But I mean, the idea is it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But, she's supposed to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But, they have her in it the whole movie, and at a certain point, you're like, can't she fucking take that off and just put anything else on?
A tank top or something. Love you, Colleen. Second question. Worth buying the Disney Infinity figures?
I cannot imagine how I could answer that question. Isn't Disney Infinity dead?
Yeah, so we're looking. Those are the penultimate releases.
What's the final one after?
Finding Dory.
Ugh,
hard buy for me.
It's grim.
Getting those, but then it's I look at the Alice things.
I would get time.
See, because I've been a completist up until now, but now that I know the thing's dead, it's Dead Man Walking.
Yeah.
These are just like they literally had made them before they canceled.
No,
They're
I
like,
understand.
fuck, let's ship them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Animatrix.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Disney Infinity.
Did you guys know that 13 years ago there was a series of anime films collected around the Matrix universe that was released on DVD?
One of them was released theatrically.
Yeah, before.
Yes.
Not before The Matrix Reloaded.
Yes,
I
before.
thought it was before something else.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant before the release of Matrix Reloaded.
No.
The film it played in front of was Dreamcatcher.
Right, that's it. That's why I saw Dreamcatcher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. Oof.
Great movie.
Poop monsters.
Um,
We've talked about it, Ben. Two poop monsters. We've talked about it on this podcast before.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Wait a second.
Yeah. What's up?
Is that Ben Hosley?
Yeah. Hey, I'm here, guys.
Oh, we've got his name settled.
Oh,
now.
we nailed it.
Yeah.
Can you pull up just so we can properly credit the person who came up with this?
Let me find it.
I'll stall. I'll stall while you're doing that. Here are some other names that Ben has. Producer Ben,
Yeah.
Purduer Ben,
Right.
the Ben Deucer, the Haas, the Poet Laureate, Birthday Benny, Mr. Positive, the Fuckmaster. He is not Professor Crispy.
No,
No.
thank you.
Don't you dare. Is his audio crisp? Yes, of course. He's good at his job. Does that make him a professor? No. That's not an honorary title. You need a degree.
Yeah, I don't have patches on my
Okay.
elbows.
He
We've
has
got- I'm re-
patches on his elbows. He's also accumulated certain titles after we graduate from a miniseries, right?
Yes.
Producer Ben Kenobi was the first.
Mm-hmm.
Then as we got through the supplemental Star Wars things, we handed him Kylo Ben, right? Okay, then we moved on to M. Night Shyamalan, and he became Ben Night Shyamalan.
Mm-hmm.
We've been struggling to come up with a nickname to fit the Wachowskis.
That's right. We
And
thought
la-
about the Benovingian or the Merovingi Ben.
It was like,
Both
it wasn't-
totally good.
But like in the stream of nicknames, it wasn't really
Doesn't-
flowing.
Yeah, Ben, you didn't like him.
Yeah, it just didn't seem to roll off the tongue. I would struggle to
So,
say it.
Ben, do you know what your name is? Did you see us talking on Twitter?
I think I think
Okay.
I know what this is.
Someone
called.
nailed it.
Mark Slutsky, who's at Totally Slutsky on Twitter, a loyal fan of the show.
The great Mark Slutsky.
He tweeted at us and said what your name should obviously be. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, okay. Ben's 8.
Bensate.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
It was right in front of us the whole time.
Oh, that's so obvious. How did we not catch that low
Anyway,
hanging fruit?
congrats, Bensate.
It's perfect.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm great. I never saw these before. I thought these were visually all great.
Yeah,
and
these-
some were kind of interesting.
These seem like right up Ben's alley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of Red Ben's alley, before we get to talk about the Animatrix at hand, we're going to talk about
let's cue that up at the end of the episode.
You want to?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
save it for
so
the end.
we-
There's a special Ben surprise at the
we
end
have
of the
a,
episode.
if you're a Haas head,
Oh, God.
you're
Haas
going
hog.
to flip out. Haas hog.
Yeah.
David Dogg's Griff heads. That's what it is.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to all our blankies.
Shout out to the Blankies.
Of course.
Yeah, this is a real bonus episode. We got a real bonus episode feel. Talked about Alice
lose.
through the looking glass for 10 minutes. Yeah, no, if you're a Haas hog, wait till the end of the episode. There's a Haas hog surprise waiting for you at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Haas hogs are going to be rewarded more than they ever have
That's
up until
correct.
date. Yeah.
That's correct.
If you've been tolerating old Griffey and Davey up until now just for the Ben, you're the slot machine's about to pay out.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, The Animatrix
The Animatrix.
was released in 2003 on DVD. The first short was released theatrically.
Yes, I believe you could watch them online in some form or another. Maybe not. It was 2003, so the idea of watching a video online was still pretty
Yeah,
adventurous.
I feel like maybe one or two of them were on the official Matrix site.
Put it this way, the Animatrix at the Into the Matrix site has a Flash intro. It's still up there. Here.
Boy, that's quite a sight. Is The Boy? Can you watch The Boy? Maybe.
You could watch 4 of them free. You could watch
Okay.
the Second Renaissance parts 1 and 2, Program, and Detective Story for free.
Oh, interesting.
Obviously, you had to go to theaters to see Final Flight of the Osiris,
Yeah.
and then there was also Kid's Story, World Record, Beyond, and Matriculated. 9 films.
Yeah.
8 really, because one of them is a 2-parter.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird thing that this thing does. It's like they settle into like when you watch the DVD or the Blu-ray,
Sure.
as I did.
How did it look on Blu-ray?
Well, You know,
I mean, some of these, especially The Flight of the Osiris, very cutting edge
yeah.
visuals at the time.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yes.
Now I own a PlayStation 4,
Right.
which can literally shit that stuff out in its sleep.
And here's the thing. I don't want to I might not know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, sure.
But I was watching this Blu-ray and I know this. The 3 Matrix movies, full Blu-ray
Very
remastered.
impressive transfers. Yes,
right?
yeah.
They put the work in. I know, and this box set I got, which is the Ultimate Matrix box set, which is like fucking $30 on Amazon now. It's a good deal
Shoot.
because it's like 7 discs or whatever.
Yeah.
There were these 4 discs that originally came in the DVD set that are all the annex supplemental material from the World of the Matrix, the Zion Chronicles, the making of, all that sort of shit. And all of that stuff is on DVD, right?
Oh.
Like pointedly.
It's not on Blu-ray.
Not only did they not
Transfer it.
transfer and upgrade it, but they literally just put it on a DVD. It's not even just standard
I
def
get you.
video on it. And I looked at the Animatrix, and at times I was like, this might just be upscaled.
Sure.
Like it is a Blu-ray disc.
No, I get you. But they
and
just
some of the
chucked them
shorts
on.
look better than others. I couldn't tell.
We'll never know.
It might be upscaled. It might be
Guys, it's a mystery and we'll never know.
We'll never know. But if you do know, write into us, blankcheckpod.
Yeah,
at
at
Gmail.
blankcheckpod on
.com.
Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a couple of these you could see. You could pay, slap down your fucking $8.
Was it? I thought it was just Final Flight of the Osiris. Was there not another
Well,
one?
I'm
you
saying
could
the
see?
other one's online.
Oh, sure, you could see them online.
There were avenues for you to see them. But the big thing they wanted was, and this was like we've talked about this in the past, Matrix, the first Matrix DVD, had a limited amount of special features. They did this game-changing thing that was like, let's release a whole second disc that's a separate item.
Yeah, called The Matrix Revisited.
Right.
That had all the special features on it.
Right. And like it was like charging not just to
Yeah.
upgrade, but to buy a whole different fucking just special features thing, and it sold really well.
Sure.
So they were like, we want people buying this.
And they were also really, as we've talked about on our Matrix episodes, and guys, I missed The Matrix, and it was fun to get
That's why
back
we're
into
back
the world
in the
of The
world.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Good old Wachowskis. Was just that they were doing this whole multimedia experience. There's the
Transmedia,
films,
I believe, is the term,
but
where
you
it's
could-
sort of, one property across different mediums.
There were comic books, there was Animatrix,
The
there
video
was
game.
video games,
Yeah.
and it was all part of this big fungible world. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, which I should give this as advance warning. I said I was going to watch the 40 minutes of live-action footage shot for Into the Matrix.
I am shocked to hear that you didn't do that.
The only reason I didn't is because I was sick, and I didn't want to fucking deal with that when I was sick.
There's no reason to watch that.
I
shit.
would, if I was feeling well, I would have watched that. I would have tolerated it. But when I was like in bed, I was like,
Guys, it doesn't
I
matter.
can fucking watch Wreck-It Ralph, or I can watch video game.
Did you watch
cutscenes.
Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Fantastic.
That movie's very well written.
Very well written, and I think beautifully animated.
I think so, too.
I think films like Zootopia and Frozen are very flat. I don't like the animation very much. But like, I think Wreck-It Ralph takes advantage of the 3D style, which I'm not a big fan of in general. It uses it to its advantage.
How would you rank the modern CGI Disney animated films?
Okay, so wait, it's Wreck-It Ralph, Tangled, Frozen, Balt.
Yeah.
and-
Big Hero 6
oh, well, yeah, that was cute.
and Zootopes.
Zootopia, is that all of them?
I think that's the full, right? Yeah.
How would you rank them?
I'd go number 1, Tangled. Number 2, Wreck-It Ralph. Number 3, Frozen. Number 4, I would go Zootopes. Number 5, Big Hero 6. And 6 is Poo Poo Bolt. Oh, I guess Meet the Robinsons is maybe...
No,
yeah,
that's old.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Meet the Robinsons does count.
That was Threshold. That was right when Lasseter took over.
I believe Meet the Robinsons is the first when they
Post-Lasseter.
reopened the
Yeah.
Disney animation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that film.
It's fine.
The Princess and the Frog obviously is also in that era, but it is 2D.
Yeah.
As is Winnie the Pooh,
Oh, which is a masterpiece.
but it's also 2D.
Have you seen that movie?
No.
Fucking rules.
So
you
anyway,
want to know the best thing about that movie? The movie's 68 minutes long. Is that like the cutest
great.
runtime?
It's great.
Isn't that an
it's
adorable
about as long as
runtime?
Dumbo is, or
Yeah,
Bambi.
it's cute.
Anyway, I would say like Wreck-It Ralph, and then like just take a deep breath, chill out for a second. Tangled. Take a deep breath, chill out for another second. Frozen. Big Hero 6.
Are you doing okay? You're breathing really heavily.
No, actually, Zootopia, Frozen, Big Hero 6, and then Balt and whatever.
Yeah.
And I like them all. I just the sort of Zootopia, Frozen, Big Hero 6 that I just think are like nice, like decent movies. If I was a kid, I'd probably like them a lot. they don't stick out to me like visually. They don't stick out to me like in amazing ways. I just like them. I think they're good.
Zootopia, Frozen are a big cut above Big Hero 6 for me, but Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph are definitely the two best.
Big Hero 6 has the big Baymax guy.
Yeah, that guy's great.
He's real cute.
Yeah, you know who's not great? Like the other 5.
It's
like Big Hero 1 for me.
Yeah, I don't remember Big Hero 6 that well.
Yeah.
It's probably fair that the Tangled and Zootopia. I mean, Frozen and Tangled and Zootopia.
Yeah.
Tangled's really pretty. I like that movie.
I love Tangled.
I just think
the
Wreck-It Ralph
songs in Tangled are great. Wreck-It Ralph is great.
has what I really want, and Zootopia has this a little bit too, but
Yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph really has it, which is like world building, like amazing world building.
Yeah.
But I also just love the herky-jerky style, like the way they move,
That
the
stuff's
way
incredible.
it blends.
Yeah.
3D animation with video
2D,
game
yeah.
pixel animation. Very cool.
I also think that story, they keep on threading that needle perfectly. There are all these
The
points
story
where you're
that's
like
you can be yourself, and like it's good to be yourself. and
right,
all
but
those,
there's
like-
that thing where it's like, okay, so she's like essentially disabled is like the analogy
Mm-hmm.
they're creating with this glitch thing, and they like can't make the argument that like she shouldn't get better, but they can't make the argument that there's anything wrong with her.
Right,
So
so
there's like
it's
the
just
point
like,
in the
there's
plot where
just-
you're like, how are they fucking gonna pull this off?
But
Because
they thread
either
the
way,
needle.
they thread the needle.
But still, I do think, and I do think the Pixar movies, when they're good, like Inside Out, are just a very obvious still cut above. Like,
I agree, but I think
but they haven't been making as many Inside Outs recently.
right, yeah, but
That's the problem.
right, Inside Out is the only one that's a cut above the recent Disney movies since 2010.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Disney's been on a good one. Okay, Animatrix.
How you doing there, Ben?
I'm good. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Woo!
That's a bonus
I need
episode,
a
baby.
cigarette.
Loosen that tie. It's a
This is
bonus.
silly.
Bonus.
Maybe you should cut all of that. All right, so final.
Keep it in.
So let's talk.
Ben,
all right.
that last section, copy, paste, put it in twice.
All right, so here's
Sure.
what we're gonna do. I'll just lay out how this all. So the way it came out was Final Flight of the Osiris, which is a real technical prequel to The Matrix Reloaded. Like it sets up one little story element for it,
Which is addressed in the film. Yeah.
which is mentioned in the
Yeah.
film. That aired in theaters in front of Dreamcatcher,
Mhm.
and you could go see it, and it was like a genuine like little preview for The Matrix.
Yeah.
The other films came out after The Matrix.
Mhm.
At least the DVD did. After The Matrix Reloaded.
When did the DVD come out?
The DVD came out, my friend, on June 3rd, 2003.
Okay,
so,
so
a
it was
couple
like a
weeks
week.
after. Yeah.
I think, yeah. Because I want to
Whereas
say... yeah.
Dreamcatcher came out March 2003.
Right,
So-
right. But they definitely want people to buy this DVD.
Yeah, but the other movies are not directly related to the plot of The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. They're more just informing them.
Well, the boy story, what's it called?
Oh, it is directly related, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those two are
kid
directly
story.
related. I think the other two, the history, the
Look,
revolution.
well, we're going to get to them.
We'll get to them. This is what I want to say, though. The format of this thing is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ben and I were talking before you got here of, like, this was kind of the first thing to do this, like, here's an adjacent movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some other studios tried to do this afterwards, especially Warner Brothers tried to do this a bunch. They did a thing, I'm going to get the title wrong, but it was before The Dark Knight, called like Batman Arkham Knights.
Uh-huh.
And it was like a film that was sort of like this, where it was like anime story set in the Batman universe.
What does this have to do with anything, though? That's after. What are you talking about? What's going on?
This is similar to the Animatrix.
Okay.
I'm going to make a comparison that makes sense when I
All
fucking
right.
throw it
I
out.
haven't
to you.
seen this thing, though. I don't know what you're talking
It's okay. But it's like, here are stories that take place in the Nolan Batman universe, and they're stories that people are telling about, like, their encounters with Batman. They're all Batman stories from, like, civilian eyes, right?
about. Uh-huh.
The thing that's interesting in that one is it's also, like, a bunch of short stories given to different animators with different aesthetics, different storytelling styles, but there's this sort of superstructure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bunch of people being like, yeah, I met Batman once, and then it cuts into that story. This film, as it's presented, is just like a bunch of short films with their own credits and their own title sequences.
Yeah.
And even the two-parter is like a two-parter just because they decided, here's a series of things that are 13 minutes long. They
Sure.
could have just had the two-parter be, here's one that's
episode.
26.
Yeah, whatever.
But I just think it's kind of an interesting format.
I like this format much better. I don't like the format you're talking about where it's like masquerading as a prequel, but it's actually just like 100% a cash-in effort. You know, It's kind of like,
like
it's kind of like
that.
how when Marvel Comics will do like Civil War, you know, the big crossover
Yeah.
event, and then they'll be, you should buy X-Men Civil
I
War.
hate
like
that.
this is cool, and you buy it, and it's like the X-Men have a meeting, they fight a little bit, and then they decide not to be in the Civil War, or like it's like a completely self-contained, useless arc.
That is exactly why I stopped reading single issue superhero
that's
comics
the thing.
because
That's-
it drove me crazy.
It's a whole scheme, like
Yeah.
it's a whole. Anyway,
and it was also an event that will change the Marvel universe forever until the fucking next writer takes over.
Yeah,
and he
right,
goes,
well.
"I've wanted to write Spider-Man since I was 10.
right,
I want Spider-Man the one I like."
right, yeah.
House of M. Remember when House of M was going to change everything?
House of M, the actual House of M
Pretty
story,
solid.
pretty cool.
And actually,
All of the other shit, oh my god.
no, see, I think some of the supplemental House of M titles were kind of good.
Okay, fine.
Better than the other ones. Civil War, the supplemental titles were
Terrible.
bullshit.
That was also because Marvel was like spinning its wheels, waiting for Civil War to be done.
Yeah.
Like, remember it got really late.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Classic Mark Miller.
Yeah.
Bubba
hate him.
bonus.
Anyway, so what I like in these Animatrixes, the ones that are like direct prequels, honestly, they're a little lame. The ones
I
that
agree.
are more just like, obviously the writers and directors were told, like, you know what the world of the Matrix is like, just play around in it. Like, do a story that's about these themes. Those are kind of cool.
Well, here are the how I'd separate them. Okay, so you go like the kid story and the final flight
And
are
detective story.
a detective story. I'd say a little less so.
I think that is easily the worst one.
Oh no, I'm not dividing good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying the kid story and the final flight are like the ones that are like these overlap with the events of the film.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Those two function in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the two like history ones.
Those are the best.
That I kind of agree. There's
Yeah.
one I like more. Maybe
Matriculated is the best.
I think it's the best one.
But the
Yeah.
the history ones are very good.
Yes, excellent. Those two are like here's prequel sort of world building stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have like the other ones which are kind of like the detective story, which I don't really like, is sort of just like
It's a prequel
Here's-
to the Matrix a little bit, but not
little bit.
really. It's just an excuse to have Trinity in one of them.
and then Matriculated I think gets at the best interpretation of how to do this. Like but that one, detective story, and like a couple of the other ones sort of fall into this category of like here's just a story that takes place in the Matrix. Here's just something happening in this world.
No, but the difference to me is the detective story is a prequel to the film The Matrix,
The first one. Yeah.
whereas the World Record and Beyond stories are more
Like Twilight
cool,
Zone entries.
thematic. I like them.
Yeah.
Entries about how the Matrix might work.
And then
You know, in
Matriculated
ways,
is
about
like
answering questions you might have asked. Like,
Matriculated is like a whole different philosophical exploration.
it's a cool idea.
I love it. Okay.
It's the only problem with Matriculated is maybe is that it's too short. Like it's almost like too ambitious.
I definitely felt like I wanted to just see a feature
yeah,
length
right.
Matriculated.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it also looks incredible. Okay, let's go through them.
I just started coughing.
I'm getting you sick.
Final fight. We're gonna do it in order.
Yep.
Final flight of the Osiris is the first. If you just watch them all in order.
We're getting focused now.
This film. They're all like what 9 minutes long. I don't know. At 13, you said.
I think 13. I don't know.
You know, the whole thing runs about an hour 40 minutes if you watch all of them.
On the Nugget, hour 40 with a lot of credit. But yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of credits.
Yeah.
It's 9 movies.
Yeah.
So the first one, Final Flight of the Osiris, was written by the Wachowskis.
Yeah.
It was directed by Andy Jones, who is a visual effects supervisor. He's been nominated for visual effects work over the years for
Okay.
iRobot
Uh-huh.
and also for Avatar. He won for that one.
Oh, Avatar. It is from the period of time where everyone thought the next big trend was going to be making fully animated films that were photorealistic with humans.
Right. It was sort of Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within had come out and bombed,
Hard.
but people were sort of, and this was produced with that technology, with the
Yes.
Square Films technology, but people were still like, not a good movie, but whoa, this is the future, right? These crazy, fully realized, like, computer people.
Right. And then that was even what Zemeckis was kind of aiming for in his first couple
100%,
motion capture movies was, I still want it. Now let's see if I can make the performance better by...
Well, yeah, what he
Getting off of
incorporates is
actors.
motion capture, which
Right.
obviously is now where things are trending.
But you look
yeah.
at Beowulf, and it still had that same sort of visual obsession of, can we make this look exactly like Angelina Jolie?
Right.
It's fascinating to me that that's sort of, we've completely given up on that.
Well,
I
it's
think
unconquerable.
people don't like it.
No, people don't like it. Maybe it can be conquered one day. I have no idea, but it's certainly people don't like it.
What I just find fascinating is the only time you see people trying to make the thing look completely photorealistic is when it's computer animated characters in a live action film.
Yeah.
when it's like Avatar or like fucking Warcraft or whatever, and it's like make this otherworldly thing look
no,
like
of course
a real
you can
person.
make monsters or animals look amazing. People buy that.
Make that look photoreal. But I'm saying in terms of like animated films, I feel like computer animated films have gotten more cartoony in the last 10 years.
Yes.
And more stylized.
Yes.
I mean, even the Disney films we're looking at are very classical.
Yeah, no, it's true.
They're not sort of obeying physics, and they're using more squash and stretch than Pixar used to use. You know, that's the zone we're like getting into. Final Flight of the Osiris is
It's
fascinating.
aiming for photorealism. It
And it's
obviously looks like a PlayStation cutscene now.
Yeah, it's fascinating just in that sense. It's like a time capsule of like, oh right, this is where our head was at. Was we thought maybe we wanted to do this, and now everyone decided not to follow through on that anymore.
You know what? That's the only way in which it's fascinating.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's pretty dull.
It's a sorry, it's like a samurai sword battle
Yeah.
between two guys a guy and a girl in a program, in like a training program. They're on a ship.
Now, important detail: they're blindfolded.
They
Yes.
are blindfolded.
But let's just say I'm not the only peeper peeping.
Oh fuck, I forgot that nickname too.
The peeper.
He's the peeper. Ben's the peeper, and these folks are peeping aplenty.
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
The man in the film, I was 100% sure, was voiced by Michael Jai White because he looks exactly like
No, it's Kevin
Michael Jai
Richardson.
White. But doesn't the model look like Michael Jai White?
I guess so. It just looks. These things don't look like anything to me because they look so bland.
Maybe Michael Jai White is just like a very conventionally handsome person. But I was just convinced it was him. The other one is played by Pamela Adlon.
Which is crazy,
Weird, right?
especially since it's an Asian woman.
Yeah.
But both, Pamela Adlon is primarily a voice actress. And the same for Kevin Michael Richardson.
They
who's
primarily-
these are two of the great voice actors.
These are primarily cast with voice actors, these films. I mean, and you see the same one, like
But I mean-
Tom Kenny is in this, Jill Talley's in this,
Yeah.
and it's the same couple actors in most of the films.
Yeah. Pamela Adlon, you know what her greatest role is, right?
Bobby from Kingdom.
Exactly. So great. Kevin Michael Richardson, he's a husky black dude. He's not this like handsome, tall, like, sort of conventional Michael Jai White type.
Oh, he's like a big. He looks like a Black Pavarotti or something.
Yeah, he was in. Do you remember the show The Knights of Prosperity with?
Oh, yeah.
with
Donald Logue?
Donald Logue. Yeah,
Yeah.
about them trying to rob Mick Jagger's house.
Yeah.
Which was like one of the weirdest fucking shows that ever existed.
You remember what the original title of that
It was
show
Let's
was?
Rob Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Such a weird show. He was very funny on it. It's one of the rare times he was on camera. Very funny man. But really a voice actor.
I always like voice actors in live action. When I see voice actors in live action, I usually think they're
Phil Lamar. Anytime Phil Lamar pops in,
great
Phil
Phil
Lamar
Lamar
was just on Veep. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Phil Lamar.
But even like, Tom Kenny and Jill Talley on Mr. Show were so
Well, of
fucking
course.
good.
That's Mr. Show.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Show.
That's way I'm talking about Mr.
I mean, they're not
Show.
voice actors yet when they're on
Yeah.
this. They find that route, into the
Yeah.
industry. But anyway, so they have a sexy samurai fight where they're cutting off each other's clothes. Ooh, bold.
Yeah, I mean, it's like exactly like the kung fu sequence from the first Matrix, except they want to fuck each other.
Well, and they have swords, and yeah, they want to fuck.
But it's got the same sort of
Yeah, it's the same aesthetic.
vibe. It's the same.
But there's just
It's in media res. You see them fighting, and they got blindfolds, but they keep on like sort of swashbuckling, like fucking Antonio Banderas Zorroing each other's clothes off with their swords, and then they'll take a little peep.
the Zorro sequence is wonderful, but it also has this weird threat to it where he's cutting off her clothes,
Yeah,
and it's like intentionally aggressive.
yeah.
And she's fighting back or whatever, but like, it's also more period appropriate because, men,
I'm sorry?
men were jerks. I mean, they're still jerks, but men were real assholes in Zorro era, just cutting off ladies' clothes all the time.
Oh, I thought you meant in 2003.
Well, that's
Yeah.
2003. Well, the thing what I'm trying to build to here is like, when Zorro's cutting off Catherine Zeta-Jones's clothes, he's a scoundrel, but scoundrels are much more Zorro appropriate, Zorro period appropriate.
I agree.
Here, where they're cutting off each other's clothes, yeah, she cuts his shirt off.
Yeah.
But he efficiently disrobes her, and she's wearing very sort of over the top sexy underwear.
Yeah.
And they try to have their cake and eat it and have both of them peek at each other, but
It's
I
not
don't
super
know.
balanced.
No, that's
Look,
what I'm saying.
I'm going to read through the subtext and say what you're saying. They should have showed that computer animated dick.
Oh yeah, that would have been great.
If she had cut his
And it was
fly,
just like,
Yeah, if
just
she-
like his pants slowly fell.
but even not at the pants, if she just cut out of like his fly zone, and then suddenly the dick went.
But then everyone would be like, whoa. Anyway,
Yeah, that's you know what?
Risky.
That's how America should respond.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Fucking wake up, you sheep. Look at a dick.
Yeah.
Go to a movie.
Look at Dick Sheeple. Okay.
Buy
Stop
a fucking
yelling.
tub
Stop
of
yelling.
popcorn and look at a dick.
So anyway, we get this. This is half the film. Is just them cutting each other's clothes off. It's like a solid 4 or 5 minutes.
And here's the worst part. This is the better half.
That's probably true. So then the second half is they're on their ship in the real world. They see a bunch of squids, and then they see like, oh no, the squids are going to tunnel down to Zion.
Which is exactly like the Sentinel chase from the first Matrix, except not as good. It's like both halves of this film are very similar to scenes from the first Matrix, except now done without real people.
Right. But and we'll get anyway. And so I'll just wrap up the plot.
Yeah.
They see that the squids are trying to tunnel down to Zion, so she has to go into the Matrix and do jump around.
Yeah.
In a bunch of ways, and then drop off like a message to the headquarters, and of course that message is received in the Matrix Reloaded. They say it like, "Oh, this message from the Osiris says
it was
the
the final
Zion
flight."
is,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then the squids get the ship and they blow it up.
Yeah.
The end. Now, I will say at the time, I thought this looked incredible.
Oh,
I remember it just being like, "Wow, like this is so cool," which really is funny to think of.
Yeah, I also convinced myself that Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within was good.
I never did that, but I did think the visuals were cool. Like I did. I did think it was the future.
That movie's kind of incomprehensible, right?
Kind of incomprehensible. Are you crazy? It's not remotely comprehensible.
I remember that being like the most plot dense and like obtuse movie I had ever seen as a 10-year-old.
Bonkers.
What was it, 12? Yeah, I must have been 12 when it came out. Do you remember when they put that character on the cover of Maxim? Do you remember that?
Of course. That was like, again, that was all part of this very efficient PR campaign that did not work for that movie, where they were like, it's the future, where it's like, we're even going to have CG cover stars, CG sexy ladies in bikinis. I bet I could find it.
Hey, guys, bet you never wanted to fuck a computer before, huh? Like, that was the whole angle on that movie.
I know. It was bizarre.
I love that the marketing was that base where it's like, hey, you want to fuck that cartoon, huh? And then you saw the movie and it made no sense.
The movie's about, like, force spirits of nature.
It's about robot ghosts.
There she is.
God.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. That's so gross.
It is. It's really gross.
And I'm not even just saying, like...
It's the other thing, because, like, the movie itself is not about, like, a sexy bikini lady who has bikini adventures. It's about, like, a scientist voiced by Ming Na who's, like, trying to get in.
She also wears, like, the most sort of, like, androgynous jumpsuit the entire film. I'll say this, like, when I say that's gross, it is culturally gross.
No, it's
but
gross.
more than that, it's just visually
It's weird.
gross.
I mean, that's the thing. It's the
like
uncanny valley.
unsettling.
Right. It's unsettling.
I don't like that we did it as a people, but I also just don't like looking at it.
Anyway, so the second film, and let's just talk about...
Yeah, we're done with the Final Flight of the Osiris.
That's it.
Yeah.
The second film is, and we'll just talk about the second and third films are called The Second Renaissance.
Love it.
Yeah, they were written and directed by Mahiro Maeda, who was working from info from the Wachowskis, I think, just to lay out the details of the Machine War.
The Wachowskis have a story by credit on this, and I also noticed there was no writing credit on this one, which I thought was interesting.
Right.
So my theory is, because this film doesn't really have dialogue, it's sort of like a textbook kind of voiceover telling you the history. I feel like the Wachowskis wrote that as background information, and then as a director, he visualized it and had free reign to do whatever he wanted.
It's got this crazy visual thing where you're like in some sort of archival computer program, and there's like a crazy like lady AI who's like, "Welcome to like archives," like.
But she also sort of looks like a Buddhist, like, sort of deity.
And there's all these, like, patterns, these weird color patterns that
great.
you're zooming in and around like you're moving through some sort of computer program.
It's got a lot of gold, which is a color we don't really see in any of the Matrix movies.
Because the Matrix movies are so green.
Got these burnt oranges even in the Revolutions, but this is like a shiny gold.
So this is the most interesting of the films, probably. Matriculated is also interesting. We'll get to that later. I think it does an okay job. I think me and Ben were talking about it before the podcast started. It's pretty easy to poke some holes in this whole grand story it tells.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, do you want to throw your main gripe out? Because I think it's an interesting sort of thing.
Well, yeah, because the story is that one of the robots overthrows and kills its masters.
I guess let's just do the basic like overthrow. It's like we as a culture create a bunch of robots to be servants, right? And to manufacture shit to make our life easier. One of the robots in sort of like classic like iRobot style kills his master. He claims it's in self-defense, but they take him to trial and they execute him. And because of that, the robots get angry, and there sort of becomes like cultural friction.
Well, no, more than that. No, they don't just execute him. They start executing
they execute
robots
all his
en masse.
kind.
Yes. Yeah.
His like model gets
Exactly.
executed in mass.
And so that prompts basically, the film makes some very broad racism
Yes.
Yeah.
analogies, but that prompts the robots to sort of flee and start their own civilization.
There's a segregation. They start their own sort of continent, which is called 0-1,
Pretty cool.
and they start manufacturing stuff from 0-1, and their manufacturing capabilities are much better than the
They
humans.
quickly outstrip, and they start like advancing their AI.
Right,
and
they're
they quickly like outstrip human civilization.
They're making car motors, and then the humans are buying the car motors, and then the human economy goes so far down.
Right.
They say at one point, like, the human nation, which made me think that maybe the idea they're getting at is, like, all continents have, like, all humans have become one large country,
Right, yeah,
which I kind of like.
like
and
a
then
global industrial country.
right, there's a global, sort of industry. And then the robots are their own, like, sovereign state.
Yeah, and the robots try to join the UN. They are rejected. And
They
then,
think now that they're these big businessmen, this big swinging dicks, they can come back and be like, hey, you're going to let us back in, right? And they're like, no, 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 no,
and
no.
then war breaks out, and then the machine war, as we know it, obviously ensues.
Right, but
with the scorching of the sky.
Well,
and
that's
all
the thing.
this
The final strike the humans have, because they can't take down these robots anyway, they try bombing them a bunch, and they're like, we're robots. Don't fucking bomb them. What are you talking about? We don't care about a bomb's a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, we'll just hang out with our bomb friend. So they were like, how about we kill the sky?
Yeah, we blanket the sky in nanobots.
Because a lot of them are solar powered. They
They're
need
all
the sun.
solar
Right.
powered or whatever.
So they kill the sun, and now like the robots have won.
Yep.
But they're also like really tired because they don't got the sun anymore. And then they realize like, oh, humans.
Right. Well, we know the premise of the Matrix. Yeah, they harvest the humans as batteries.
But here's the thing I like. They sort of say like they were obsessed with like humans and like fascinated by the fact that they like keep on like reproducing and all this. The thing that this thing gets at, it explains why the robots would go through the trouble of creating the Matrix rather than just having the humans be in hypersleep, which is you show them sort of experimenting with them and they like tickle them and then they get a charge. And they make the humans cry and they get a charge. And it's like specifically the thing that charges them is human emotion.
Sure.
So they need to
they
create
need
this,
the brains to work.
They need this simulation where the humans can go through the entire human condition in order to get it, which I think is a really interesting
No,
detail.
it's all interesting because the world of the Matrix is really interesting.
It also gets in like a Monsters Inc. territory where it's like, got to get them screams.
But the question I had,
Yes,
like,
thank you,
this is
Ben.
great. But the question I had is, I don't understand the the robot motivation. Why robots would want to exist? That's not explained.
Well, you're talking about, it's the robots, the robot's survival instinct is never explained.
right.
And for that to exist, there essentially needs to be, and this is a common like theme in a lot of sci-fi stories about robotics, is the idea of this anomaly where somehow artificial intelligence becomes like genuine intelligence, where feelings come into play.
Mm-hmm.
And where they, it's Wall-E, it's Sunny for my robot. It's all these fucking robots where suddenly, here's the one robot that has a slightly different thing. It thinks like a human.
Yeah, consciousness.
And then changes the sort of species.
I mean, these are the questions of the Matrix: is what is consciousness? Where does it evolve from? Is it just like does it begin with just self-defense and like this sort of like is that what consciousness is? Is just the desire not to die? Things like that.
But these two don't ever really get into the robot's consciousness. They talk about what they did to survive. They don't really talk
this
about
is
why.
more of a straight history. I agree that it has to make these rapid jumps just to move the story along kind of quickly.
Because it's kind of told like it's like a documentary you would watch in history class,
Right.
Which I like.
Yeah.
Like the narration's very sort of like clinical.
Me too. I like that too. I just think it looks amazing.
It looks amazing.
I just think the animation is so cool. I think the way you see the war evolve, and then like once they splinter the sky and the robots really start turning into the squids and like the red-eyed things that we know from the Matrix, it's just so like nightmarish. The violence is really gross.
Well, there's like a really successfully terrifying sequence where you see this like scantily clad woman running down the street, and the guy is just fucking cold cocking her,
but
punching her in
she's
the
a
face.
robot.
Well,
robot
that's what
lady,
you find
right?
out. I mean, he rips her shirt open first,
Right.
and her breasts are hanging out, and she's crying and screaming, and you're like, this is
weird.
really upsetting. Are you trying to show us that humans turned on each other? And then he punches her further, and her whole face flies off.
Right.
It's like, oh, she's a robot. But it's playing on this sort of like it's the same thing as like sexual abuse, as racism. You know, it's like
Which, sometimes these things are tough to draw. I just want, these parallels can be
Yeah.
a little broad. They also quote Clarence Darrow and they also quote the Dred Scott. Like, they do these broad things, but that's fine. I mean, like, it's fine. It's just, it's broad stuff.
what I do like is that the Matrix movies themselves properly, like, don't get into, because we're seeing it from the humans who are
Right.
the
They made
ones.
the machines the enemies, especially in the first Matrix.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't understand how it happened, so you're just like, oh, the robots got smart and they killed us all.
Right. And also that's such a classic sci-fi trope is evil, AI. Yeah.
But you watch these and you're like, oh, it's so much more depressing because
Sure.
they just wanted to be equals, and we wouldn't let them fucking in the door.
Well,
Well, and they were
it's like what we
I
were
mean-
supposed to say please and thank you to a robot.
Exactly. Ben's
How
right.
dare you?
Fuck you, robots.
I like robots. I want to be friends with a robot.
No, I mean, this is why I love the Matrix sequels so much.
Yeah.
Is because they dig into these questions. I think the only thing in the first Matrix movie is that idea, which is said that we are the ones who scorched the sky. Like,
Yeah.
So you realize, like, okay, we may have been the architects
We
of
did
our
this
own
to ourselves.
undoing here.
Yeah.
Yes. And obviously, like, Agent Smith's growing consciousness is like a sort of seed for that idea of,
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. But that's what I like about the sequels is that they dig into this thing. It's like, yeah, you know what? Humans aren't great either,
No.
We're all pieces of shit. Then again, I would also kill all the robots.
Yeah, but then I also watched this and I'm like, okay, so we treated them like garbage. They gave us like 6 chances, right? They kept on being like, please, can we come back?
I know. Yeah.
Right? And then they were nice enough to like put us in a world where everything's really nice.
Well, that's the thing. There is a benevolent weirdness to it, but it's also so creepy because we see them like the thing. I think the film successfully shows the cruelty of the robots
I agree.
in experimenting on people. You see that thing where they like rip open a mecha suit and they start like, oh, it's so creepy.
Oh, terrifying. Yeah.
So cool, but because the film has that clinical narration and stuff, it almost seems like it's propaganda for the robots. Like
Right.
it's a robot written narrative,
Yeah.
right? AI narrative. But at the same time, we can sympathize with what the bad things they're doing,
Well, it exists in a lot of moral gray area, and I also think it makes the films themselves more morally gray, which is like the most you could ask for of something like this, of a supplemental piece that's meant to enhance the original films. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this is
what I want.
the platonic ideal of an Animatrix show. I'm not saying it's the best one, but it's like the platonic ideal of how it could function.
Yes.
I think Matriculated is the best one. There's also an
Well-
insane shot where a robot's got a human's head and he just
And he pulls
squeezes
it apart. Yeah.
He squeezes it
Yeah.
until the eyes pop out, and then you're like, okay, I got it. The eyes popped out. And then, like, the brain pops out from the eyes.
Yep.
Fucking robots, man.
Don't mess with them.
Still want to be friends with one. If we have any robot listeners, please tweet at me, Griff Lightning, on Twitter.
Mhm.
I like robots. I want to be friends with robots.
Okay, number 3 is Kid's Story. Number 4, technically, is Kid's
Yeah.
Story, written by the Wachowskis, oops, and directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who, let me see who he is,
Neither of us are big anime people. We should
No.
throw that out as a disclaimer.
who worked on Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
And, the guy who did the second Renaissance, Mihiro Maeda, he has a lot of interesting credits. He worked on a lot of cool anime shows like Neon Genesis Evangelion. I've heard of that one. And he worked on a lot of Ghibli movies, and he worked on the Kill Bill anime sequence.
Oh, which I love.
I don't
that.
know if he's
Yeah.
credited as like the director. He just did a lot of
Okay.
key art for those things. Just FYI.
Yeah.
So, Kid's Story. This is about the kid from the Matrix sequels who's really annoying.
Yeah, remember that kid that we didn't give a shit about in 2 separate
Played
movies?
by Clayton Watson.
And you were like, why are they putting all this time and energy into
and he's
him?
in Reloaded a little bit, and he's in Revolutions a lot.
But in Reloaded, he's not in a lot, but they give him like a big fucking like entrance. Like they hit it hard when he shows up, and it's because this was part of that transmedia idea they had, which is like you're gonna see this kid, and you're gonna be like, where'd this kid come from? And then you gotta watch the Animatrix. You watch it, and you're like, I mean, who gives a shit? I don't like that kid. I don't
Yeah, no, nobody
like
cares.
that character. I think this one looks great.
It's a very interesting look. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And like it's basically the story is very simple. This kid feels alienated. He has classic Matrix red pill, feelings where he's like something's wrong.
Yeah.
He's talking to Neo on his computer, hacking away.
It's like when Neo started talking to Trinity on the computer.
Absolutely.
I mean, this sure is essentially Matrix High. Like, it's like the whole opening chunk of Neo in the first Matrix, except done in high school instead. So it's like, okay, he's talking to Neo instead of Neo talking to Trinity. the agents come and find him at school rather than at the office.
Mhm.
It's like the shit we've seen before.
But-
on a narrative level, not that interesting.
Well, so it's basically just that. Now, I think the Wachowskis are trying to write a story that's interesting to them, which is this idea that, like, people who are disaffected, who suffer from depression, who suffer from some, out-of-body problems.
Yes.
Like, the Matrix is a dramatization of what that is and, like, feeling unglued from the world. And, like, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
But this thing is very simple and not that interesting.
Agreed.
Except for one thing.
Which is?
He escapes the Matrix by himself.
Yeah.
Which is a weird concept.
By killing himself.
He throws himself out of a school window.
Yeah.
And you see him, like, point of view shot of him, like, falling to the
He
ground.
keeps on having this dream about flying through the sky and falling and everything. And then he gets to it's this long escape sequence. He goes to the roof. He thinks he's gotten away from the agents. The agent's on the roof. He knows what he has to do. He goes, I knew it wasn't a dream. And he jumps off. And then he wakes up. Or you hear his funeral, and they're like, some people aren't meant for this world. He clearly was struggling,
Mhm.
these thoughts all the time. I mean, he distrust, paranoia, all that sort of stuff. I mean, you're like, okay, depression thing, tracking.
Sure, right.
And then it cuts to him, like, waking up on the gurney, and they're like, the cell rehabilitation metastasis project. I mean, they kind of do one of those one-line, like, here's a technology you've never heard of that explains how we were able to bring him back to life.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
They say something like that.
Yeah.
They go like, oh, the cell regeneration.
Okay. I don't even remember that.
It's fine, whatever.
Hey, also, dude can shred.
Dude can shred.
On the skateboard.
Dude's a fucking rad boarder.
Mhm. 2003, baby.
It's got the thing that the Kill Bill thing did as well. It's got this really, like, scratchy, sketchy line style that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of looks like Egon Schiele drawings,
Okay.
which I love. On a story level, it's not that interesting. Here's another thing I was talking about with Ben about it. I was watching this one, and, like, Neo's got a little part in this one, right?
Yeah.
They don't make him look like Keanu.
No.
And when he starts talking, I was like, this guy's doing a fucking terrible Keanu impression. I mean, he sounds like nothing like Keanu. It's taking me out of it.
No, it's Keanu Reeves.
I know!
Yeah. Wow.
I'm dying. But it gets at this thing. You saw the motion picture Keanu as well, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you mean, yeah, because his voice performance in that is also really undistinctive. Yeah, that is true.
And it's weird because anyone... I'm actually going to die. No, I just think it's, like, fascinating that anyone could do a good Keanu impression, and then you see Keanu doing Keanu,
Mhm.
and he, like, doesn't sound like...
because he doesn't want to lean into it, probably. He doesn't want to lean into the dude, whoa.
Well,
stuff.
Ben's theory also that we were, like, working on was just that, like, Keanu's such a physical actor. Like,
sure.
not just with action, but he's also so much more about presence than he is about, like, line readings.
I
That maybe
think-
he's not good in a booth.
I think that's true, but he's also, it doesn't matter. Anyway.
It's just weird in Keanu where they have the big scene where the cat talks, and it's clearly the joke that Keanu Reeves is doing the voice, and you're like, that doesn't sound anything like Keanu Reeves. Like, I know it is.
Yeah.
But you, like, want him to, like, talk like this.
You just did a better Keanu than Keanu.
Exactly.
I mean,
Hire me
Keanu's
to play
performance
Keanu.
in the film Keanu was a real letdown.
Really disappointing.
Yeah. But that movie's also kind of disappointing in general.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. All right, the next film is called Program. It's written and directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri,
Okay.
who is a veteran of Japanese animation, the creator of titles like Wicked City, Ninja Scroll, and Vampire Hunter D: Bloodlust.
Okay.
All sound great.
This one stars the great Phil Lamar, the aforementioned Phil Lamar.
Yeah, as Duo.
And the
a
other character's
samurai.
name is Sis.
Sis.
Yeah.
Hedy Barres.
Yeah.
So this has a very cool animation style.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And it's like this sort of samurai battle between this like crazy white lady with big white hair and this sort of guy in like samurai armor among these trees, and this sort of like a classic feudal Japan like setting.
Right, and it feels like, I mean, it's sort of analogous to the Kung Fu training sequence in the first Matrix, but because it's in such a different setting, it's less annoying to watch it a second time than it was in Last Flight of the Osiris.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like just crazy sort of like impressionistic, surreal samurai world.
But you know what? We just kind of said everything about it. That's sort of the problem with this one.
Well, here's the rest of this one. The guy in it is like, hey, no one's listening. I want you to know I'm going to leave go back into the Matrix.
Yeah, he's
Come with
basically
me.
just doing the cipher argument where he's like, when I took the red pill, I wanted to know the truth. Now I don't care about the truth. Like, yeah, we already heard that, stuff from the cipher story in the first Matrix. That's all fine. They have a big battle. She defeats him. She resists his challenge.
And then it turns out it was all a training program to see if she would give in to that.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, and I want to say, too, it's like, why is every simulation fighting? Like, why can't it be like,
They like to fight.
I don't know, a swim in the Caribbean?
I agree.
Or
Well, here's the question.
ice cream in bed
Here's the-
program.
here's
Yeah,
the
no, because
question.
that's tough to do. It is tough to eat ice cream in bed. It would be helpful to have a training program.
Here's the question.
No, but it's tough to do.
Like, so
Can
do
they
you think-
swim?
Here's,
Yeah.
the, no, here's
Gotta
my
learn
question,
this
and this is
What
a
about
real.
swimming with ice
Here's
cream
my
bag? That would be
question.
difficult.
Ooh.
Because one hand would have to keep it above water, else you
That's
get
true.
wet ice cream.
But you get a little floaty.
This is my question.
Yeah.
Do you think they have sex in the training programs?
No.
There are sex programs.
Question.
So here's my question.
Why isn't one of those shorts about that?
No, not that. You have to be plugged in, and you have to have the programs loaded by an engineer, and he has to watch. So, how do you deal with that? Is it kind of like you go over to Tank, and you're like, "Hey, Tank, I want to have sex with Switch. I'm APOC."
Yeah. Don't look.
Hey, Tank, I'm APOC. I want to have sex with Switch. So, can you plug us both in? Just load, my favorite sex program, and then just take it easy for 15 minutes. Just take a coffee break. Whatever.
You know what he'd say. Switch, though.
Not like this. So anyway,
Not like these.
that's program.
Here's another question.
It looks good. I have nothing to say about
Here's another
program.
question I had, okay? So, in the Matrix, they say, if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. And the scenes where we see someone's plugged in and they get shot or whatever, and then they cut back to them, in the real world on the Nebuchadnezzar, and they're, bleeding
Getting
out of their mouth.
brutalized. Yeah.
They're getting those injuries, right?
Not specifically though. It's not if you get shot, you don't get a gunshot wound.
But you're having the internal
Yes.
effects
Yeah.
of it,
Your body reacts.
right?
Yeah.
If you go into the Matrix in, a simulation,
Well, wait. Matrix or a training program? Those are two different things.
if you go into, I'll say for either one.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I think my question applies to either one. But for the sake of clarity and keeping it on subject, I'll say a training program. If you go into a training program that's training you how to fuck, right?
Fuck.
And you do some fucking in the training program, do you come in real life?
Probably. Yeah.
You make a mess in
Probably.
your pants.
You
Probably,
probably, it'd be like a wet dream, right?
Probably.
So are wet dreams just the Matrix?
Yeah, that's what they are.
Hey, actually, I have another question.
Please.
David, you probably will be able to help with this. Maybe Griffin.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So, in the Matrix,
Yeah.
are there, for example, are there people with disabilities? Is there blind people in the Matrix? Because that fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Like,
there is.
That's
You mean so it's
bullshit.
right? You not only are you a slave to machines who
Right.
lives in but also within the
made
world
you
of the
blind.
Matrix, they
Yeah.
haven't even. Well, no, yeah, they are. They are. That's absolutely true. Yes.
100%.
Because the whole point of the Matrix is it has to be real. They talk about how there was the Paradise Matrix where everything was good,
And it didn't
work because we didn't accept it.
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah. The only people who can look like badasses are people who are broadcasting from the real world and plugging into the Matrix because they know they're in a fake thing. And
Yeah.
that's why anytime Keanu plugs into the Matrix, he looks like fucking hot shit.
Yeah.
And he's got a, $2,000 cassock.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But normal people don't know that, so yeah.
Okay, here's another question I have. And David or Ben, you might be able to help me with this one. How does sex work?
Oh, just in general?
Yeah, what is sex?
Ah, dude, it's a great question.
Is it good? I've
Like
heard
warm
good
apple
things.
pie. No, that's a blowjob, right? That's what that is a metaphor
Sex
for? in
is
the
like
film?
American Pie 2. Like a warm DVD of American Pie
It's like
2.
American Pie 2. It's mostly a contractually obligated, underwritten affair. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's Chris Klein's last chance for relevancy.
I do like that in American.
what sex
I do
is.
like that in American Pie. Everyone has very stupid, fakey Hollywood crazy. Oh boy, they're having sex in this on a pool table
Yeah.
with the mom. Whoa, all this crazy shit. Except for it's Mina Suvari and Chris Klein, right?
Yeah, just
No. It's not. It's Thomas Ian Nicholas and Tara Reid. Because Chris Klein and Mina Suvari don't even have sex.
Oh, right, that's the
But
big thing.
Thomas
They
Ian
watch
Nicholas-
the sunrise.
Right, Thomas Ian Nicholas and Tara Reid just have boring loss of virginity sex where she's just kind of ow,
Yeah.
And like he's like, "You okay?" And she's like, "I'm okay."
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like totally that. I like that they at least throw you a bone with like, no pun intended.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw American Pie, but I think I'm right.
Yeah.
What?
I think you're right. I think so too. By the way, our next miniseries is the American Pie franchise.
God, would we do the directed DVD
Yeah, you'd have
sequel?
to. You have to do all 9.
But they're not canon.
Are they not?
No, they're not.
I think it's canon that one dude's dad, after that dude goes off to college, just starts hanging out with other teenagers.
Including various relatives of Stifler. Right? Like, there's like 3 different Stifler relatives in this film.
That
So it's
guy
like,
is
hey,
son-
you're Stifler's pool cleaner. Like,
Okay, so imagine your dad, imagine you go off to college and your dad just decides to start hanging out with relatives of
and he like emails you.
that dude you didn't like.
He's like, I ran a naked mile with Stifler's, second cousin.
And Jim's like, Stifler was a burden.
Jim's like, I got married.
Yeah.
I'm married to Allison Hannigan
I've just
now.
been talking about how I don't want to hang out with Stifler, and he just comes with the rest of the guys. That's like the big thing in American Pie 2 is the only reason they can afford the summer house is because Stifler has money.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck, I don't want to live with Stifler. I don't want to live with Stifler. And Jim's dad's like, don't worry, I'm going to hang out with Stifler's nephew.
But it's always like, it's like Stifler goes to band camp. I haven't
Yeah.
seen these films, but I've seen like trailers for them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, who turns around in the chair but Jim's dad? He's like, I'm the new administrator of band camp.
By the way, is still never given a proper name.
No, I don't think so.
His
at
name
least.
is Jim's dad in
Yeah.
like American Pie 8,
Eugene
The
Levy
Book of Love.
cashed so many fucking checks, man. Because he was in Cheaper by the Dozen too. He's in just so many. It's incredible. He was in that movie with the Olsen twins, New York Minute.
New York Minute, which I
Yeah.
saw opening day in theaters. He was in The Man with Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
Bringing Down the House.
Yeah, I remember Samuel Jackson screened The Man for victims of Hurricane Katrina for free. I remember that. It was very hard to make fun of that because it was a very noble gesture of him, but it was.
But also, they had gone through so much suffering at that point. Why make
anyway.
them watch The Man?
So, how did we get on this? Oh, forget the sex talk. All right, we're getting off of
I
the
was
sex
going to say
talk.
something really funny. Oh, no, just, I mean, I do have one funny thing to say. But before that,
But before that, oh my god!
Can you imagine how offensive Bringing Down the House must be to watch today? Because even at the time,
Bringing Down the
it
House
like,
was offensive at the time.
but,
Very
but,
offensive.
But now,
But I mean, it was like remarked upon that, like, this is an offensive film.
oh, this is a very regressive
Yes,
movie.
right.
If that movie came out tomorrow,
People would burn down the house.
yeah, they would
The
literally
movie house.
burn down the movie house.
No, I mean, it's a terrible, terrible piece of shit.
This is what I was gonna say. Do you think one of the American Pie sequels has a scene where they're
Isn't the entire premise of burning down the house just that it's outrageously crazy to imagine that Steve Martin would be friends with a black lady?
correct?
It's like the whole idea. It's like Steve Martin's got a new friend, and it's Queen Latifah. What?
$160 million domestic. That's the only joke of that film.
Yeah,
And Eugene
God.
Levy with cornrows going, "You got me straight tripping, bro."
That's right. I forgot about that.
I mean, that was $60 million
Oh, my
alone on
God.
that line. That movie is fucking awful. Do you think there's a scene in one of the American Pie sequels where, like, Eugene Levy's like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jim's dad." And they're like, "Who's Jim?"
I don't know, and I don't care to find out. I've only seen American Pies 1 and 2. I have not seen Wedding or Reunion.
Oh, bro, you got to attend the wedding.
I do not. And I won't. There's another thing. Jonathan Braylock, who gives me shit every fucking week on Twitter. You see it every week.
He's coming hard on you.
Every week he comes right at me. He's one of our fans.
Braylock, friend of the
former
podcast,
guest.
former guest, friend of mine.
I love you, John, but every week you come after me. And this week he committed the most unforgivable sin, which was suggesting that we do Brett Ratner one day as a blank check. He is not a blank check filmmaker in the slightest.
Tower
He's
Heights,
not.
though.
He's someone who literally Hollywood would just be like, can you imitate the style enough of like Silence of the Lambs to do us a Red Dragon? Like,
Yeah.
can you copy Bryan Singer quickly just to do X-Men: The Last Stand? Just come on, quickly.
I can't wait to see how Braylock live tweets us talking about him right now. But I also love that, like, for the first half of our podcast, when he would live tweet the episodes, he'd be like, "Griffin, what the fuck are you talking about?" And now he's switched to coming on really hard on you.
He's so cruel to me. It's
Ben, you're up
every week.
next.
Yeah.
You're gonna face the Bray pretty soon.
All right.
Oh no.
So let's move on because
Gonna get brave,
what's our
bro.
running time, Ben?
About an hour.
Okay, cool. All right.
Great.
So yeah, we're getting done.
Okay, we'll be done in 2 minutes.
Bonus.
Bonus.
So world record is
Yeah.
the next one.
Okay.
Create a screenplay by Kawajiri, who did the screenplay for Program, and directed by Takeshi Koike. I don't know. I'm certain I'm mangling some of these names, and I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't really have anything for you on him. Anyway, this is also kind of cool looking, also weird looking.
Yeah.
It's about a runner, like a sprinter, who breaks the world record for sprinting. And there's this suggestion that he's so good at this that he's almost like a glitch in the Matrix, and he's becoming somewhat aware that the world is not
And
as
somehow
it seems.
manipulating.
Right.
Yeah.
And the agents show up to try and like stop him, basically from breaking the world record.
they don't
because
want to
it's
do like
too weird.
superhuman Neo stuff. Can I give this short an award? I would like to give.
I was nodding.
I would like to give world record. Na 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 na. The award for most animated knee sweat.
A lot of knee, a lot of calf in
A
this
lot
movie.
of calf. But there's
a lot of calf.
specifically, I'd say there's probably 20, a solid, I'm not overestimating here, a solid 20% of this runtime is a close-up of a knee with, like, just beads of sweat, like propelled off of it, like spring-loaded off of the knee.
I mean, the film is dramatizing an 8-second 100-meter dash, so, it really has to slow things down.
It's, like, sinewy. You're seeing, like, the muscles, like,
You
slowly
see his muscles,
pulsate.
like, rupture.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It's gross. But if you love knee sweat, I mean, you're gonna dig this thing hard.
Yeah, I think that's enough, right? I think we did it.
About this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one is, like, this gets into the sort of, like, Twilight Zone-y, like, Tales from the Matrix kind
Yeah.
of, like, here are just things that could happen in a world.
Right. It has this vaguely interesting idea that he's so fast and he's breaking the rules so much that he, like, they're kind of trying to shock him in his pod back into submission.
Yeah.
And he's briefly aware of, like, being in the pod. Like, he briefly escapes and then, sort of locks back into the Matrix. The code sort of starts to lift. Kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, and the ending is cool. Like, his legs totally rupture, and then it cuts to him at the hospital, and he's
And the
got these
agents
big
are like,
braces.
he will never walk again.
And then he fucking wills himself to walk.
And says, free. Which is maybe laying it on a little thick.
Yeah.
The next film
Mhm.
is called Beyond, and it's written and directed by Koji Morimoto, who is a Japanese anime director who worked on Akira, worked on Kiki's Delivery Service. He's the co-founder of Studio 4 Degrees. I don't know. He's a guy.
Yeah, we're anime neophytes.
Yeah, we really are. I
We
mean,
really-
I know shit
Now I'm
about
gonna
anime.
pretend to
It's
know.
crazy. I know so much shit about so many nerdy things that anime is just the biggest blind spot. I just never
Isn't
got
that
into
weird?
it.
There's
Apart
like-
from the Pokemon anime, which I
Yes.
watched every episode.
But there's like so much nerd stuff that I know just from sort of osmosis, from proximity. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you spend enough time in a comic book store, you start to know about other
Yes.
adjacent nerd properties just because you're like in those worlds. I know like certain anime titles, but I know like fucking nothing.
Mm.
You know?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, I got pretty much heavy metal, and that's about it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't really
That's not even anime.
no, it was like
That's just
Fre-
an
that was
animated
French.
movie.
It was French, Ben.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's cool though.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize
yeah.
it was specific to, I guess, Japan
Anime? Yeah, I think anime like yeah, I think
Yes.
specifically. Can I also say you
Well, there's
liking
anime inspired stuff.
you liking heavy metal is the least surprising thing I've ever
That's
heard.
pretty. Oh, and there's another thing that Ben likes that we're gonna talk about in a few minutes. So I
Well,
won't talk
tease
about
it. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
don't spoil
No,
it.
no. I mean about. It doesn't matter. We'll get to it.
Oh, about the Animatrix, you're
Yeah,
saying.
we'll get
yes,
to it. We'll
yes,
get
yes,
to it. Anyway,
yes. Okay.
Beyond.
Yeah.
Beyond's cute.
Yeah, this is probably. I don't think it's the worst one, but it's the most kind of inconsequential one. For
Very
me.
inconsequential. It's basically a bunch of kids, including a teenage girl, stumble across a glitch in the Matrix, like a weird house where weird shit happens,
Yeah.
and they play around there, and then it gets fixed by the agents, and that's the end of that.
This also, I mean,
Looks good. Looks
well,
nice.
see, I was gonna say this is actually my least favorite
Oh, anime.
sort of.
Just, it's very
style of
traditional.
anime. It's very traditional. It's sort of limited movement, expressive like backgrounds, but like their faces are pretty static. You know, I mean, it's not aesthetically my kind of thing. I'm not gonna try to explain it because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah, it's kids just looking for a cat.
Yeah, take care of your cats, guys.
Yeah, I think let's
Come on.
focus on that for a second.
No.
Jeez.
Let's not.
You don't want to focus on that?
I don't want to focus on it. I don't. I want to move on to the next story, which is called a detective story.
Because you could put a chip on the cat and you could track it with the GPS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Good ideas, guys.
A
Cat
detective
care.
story. We're booking through these
Well,
now.
because I feel like we're going to talk a lot about Matriculated.
so,
We're
too.
more than an hour in already.
What is a
Yeah.
bell gonna do? You know?
Yeah. What you may put an iPod shuffle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you can hear different songs rather than just the bell over and over and over again.
A detective story is written and directed by Shinichiro Watanabe.
Oh, he directed Bring Down the House, right?
He. No, I already mentioned him. I think he also worked on it's coming. It's a kid's story.
Okay.
Anyway, although the animation is by a guy called Kazuto Nakazawa, and this one is a prequel to The Matrix, sort of, like to the original Matrix, sort of.
Yeah.
It's got a nice animation style.
Love the look of this
This
thing.
noiry, rainy.
Black and white, sort of 40s pulpy kind of thing, done in voiceover. I mean, it's got that whole sort of vibe to it.
Yeah, it's basically about a private detective called Ash, who's
Uh-huh.
voiced by James Arnold Taylor,
Uh-huh.
who is famous, I don't know if you know this, for playing Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars, Clone Wars, and all other animated related things.
I knew I recognized that name.
I was going to say, again, like you were saying, they employed a lot of the big
VO guys.
VO guys, yeah.
Yeah.
He is given a case to track down this hacker Trinity,
Mhm.
and there's a bunch of Alice in Wonderland shit, like in the movie,
Yeah.
while he looks for her. And that's kind of that. He finds her. She tries to free him, but the agents are going to, like, jump into his body, so she has to shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's okay. Hell of a case, though. Lights a cigarette, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, story-wise, it's kind of caca-poo-poo. It looks amazing.
It does have that interesting idea, though, of, like, why don't the agents just jump into Neo's body?
Yes, and
Like, which is never really addressed.
Ben threw out something that I kind of like. Do you want to state your case for this one, Ben?
I don't know if I remember now.
The thing you were saying about him sort of being so old-fashioned.
Oh, yeah, like he would never be able to actually deal with the reality of the world. Like, that he's stuck in the 40s.
Like the fact that this guy is like fashioning himself as like a Philip Marlowe character.
Right.
Even just in how his like internal monologue sounds. But you realize he's in fucking 1999 because it's, set The Matrix.
Sure.
So it's like, this guy, he's in the wrong genre.
Sure.
When he finds out that he's now stepping into this territory, and it's like, no, don't even deal with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, well, don't fart too much.
You said caca poo poo.
Yeah, a couple minutes back.
What, do you have any further things to say?
No, I think it looks nice.
Yeah, it looks okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the final short, which I think is the best, and you agree.
Yep.
Is called Matriculated. It's written and directed by Korean-American director Peter Chung, who is widely known for his work on Aeon Flux.
Correct.
The MTV awesome 90s animated series.
Adapted into the mangled...
Strange Karen Kusama, Charlize Theron
yes.
starring film. Yes.
Correct.
Matriculated has a very cool animation style because this guy's got he's a really amazing animator, and this really cool story.
Yeah, so this is getting into, like, if you separate these into categories, it's like, okay, there are the ones that overlap with The Matrix,
Films, yes.
right, which is like sort of detective story to a lesser degree.
We already talked about this.
Right, this gets into the, here's just exploring the idea.
Yeah, like this is a sort of off-the-wall idea of like, ooh, what if you did this?
Right, and it's not like, oh, here's another story set in it, here's a different character. This is like, what's a whole different, like, sort of philosophical angle to hit the Matrix world from.
Right.
Which I love.
Yeah, because it's too easy to just think like, okay, so what happens is everyone just drives around in the weird hammer ships and they fight squids. They go into the Matrix sometimes, and that's what they do. It's nice to see something else that humans do in the real world, which is this band of humans who kidnap robots, AI creatures. They like lure them into their base, plug them into a matrix, like into an artificial world, and try to interact with them on that level.
Yes.
And like see if they can win them over, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it starts out with this cool Aeon Fluxy looking woman.
And I think it's not really talked about in the films at all, but like the squids are not high AI.
No.
They just are search and destroy
They're like
bots.
grunts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's not like the squids sit around and they're like, crazy day.
A tough day at work.
I flew around sewers for a millennia.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I haven't had a vacation in fucking like 8 months.
But
I'm flying all the time. I'm exhausted. My tentacles ache really hard. All 8,000 of them.
I keep getting hit with EMPs, which
Yeah, all the
sucks.
fucking time. Here's the other thing. Do you know what it's like to go to work every day and know that everyone hates you? Like, I'm just getting all this negative energy all the time.
So that's what's happening in Matriculated. They're catching one of these basically search and destroy bots. It's called a runner. It's got
Right,
little
it's even
stilt
smaller
legs. Yeah.
than the squid sentinels. It's kind of like a daddy long legs, maybe.
Right, but they plug them into this artificial world and they try to interact with it there.
Right, so it starts out with just like the thing looks amazing, and it's this Anne Fluxy looking woman and her pet monkey. I think it's a Tarsier.
Sure, it's a little monkey in a bottle.
Really adorable looking. And they're like getting this walker to the runner to chase them, and they get back to a zone, and then they're trapped, and then the thing's kind of caught, and then like the wall comes up, and everyone's there applauding, and they're like, nice work, nice work.
Right.
But the whole first part of it, you're like, maybe it's just a chase thing. Maybe this whole short's going to be just like a her on the run thing.
Right.
And then they're like, good. Then there's this really good scene I like, which is her talking to the scientist while he's sort of like doing upkeep on the machines. And they're talking about the whole idea of consciousness within these machines.
Right.
You know? And dream states versus living states, and whether like the dreams make you feel alive, you know, or
It's a really cool idea.
it's just good. It's good dialogue.
The girl, we should say, is voiced by Melinda Clark, who's famous. A famous voice actress, but also famous for being on the OC for many years as Julie Cooper.
Yes. And she was also in the motion picture Spawn.
Oh, yeah, way back in the day. But she does a lot of voice acting.
Yeah. But she that you don't really know where it's going at that point. And then they like sit down in a circle, and he's
It's
like,
cool.
"Would you mind plugging me in?" And they think of the thing in the middle, and they plug him in. It feels a little Inception-y too, where it feels like they're going into like the human subconscious. Because then when you get to the aesthetics of the world that they show you here, it's very it's really brightly colored.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sort of I don't know. It looks like
It looks different. I don't know.
yeah. It sort of looks like these like sort of religious paintings almost.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
But I think the idea is it's supposed to be more of a melding of man and machine brain thinking. I don't know.
Right, but also the idea that it's not as clinical as the Matrix that the machine world's created,
Yes.
which is about literally representing
Yeah.
these things. This is incorporating emotions.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
That's
this
totally
is incorporating the human feeling. So it is a lot more sort of fluid.
Impressionistic.
Impressionistic is the word I was looking for. Thank you. It looks fucking amazing.
Yes.
I could watch it forever.
Well, they run around for a while, and eventually the robot's eyes turn green rather than red, which suggests that there's been some sort of a change.
Yeah, they're still sort of getting the runner to chase them around within this world, but they like know what they're fucking doing.
Oh, yeah,
They're like, this is the thing, this is the routine, we do this all the time.
And then the machines come and sort of rout this, little human stronghold and kill all the humans except for the girl.
Yeah.
And this robot, feeling sad about it, tries
You're talking about back in the real world.
Yes.
Yes. Well, let's.
What,
we
is there
spent,
something
we
else?
spent time in the dream. No, because we did a quick turn into there.
Oh, okay.
They
fine.
like
In the
plug out
real-
and they're like, "What's wrong?" And they're like, "Fucking Sentinels coming."
Sure.
So the robot's still plugged in and the main lady's still plugged in.
No.
Oh,
They're
no,
all
she
unplugged.
unplugged. Yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And they're trying to fight these Sentinels, and everyone gets killed except for her and the main runner.
What I just said.
Yeah, but you didn't explain
What I
that
just
it
said.
sounded like it was within the fantasy.
And then
sequence.
so the good robot plugs himself back in and plugs the lady back in because he's sad,
yeah,
which is nice.
yeah.
And then she realizes what's going on and she literally dies. She like screams and disappears. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then he's all alone.
It's incredible.
It is. It's very good. It's a very good idea.
It's a fuck killer concept. It looks unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
They're all naked, but like brightly colored.
Whoa, that's what
You
you
know?
like.
Yeah, I like them. Orange bodies. I like green people.
Love a green person.
Yeah, you haven't seen Warcraft yet, right? Paula
Seeing
Patton's
it,
green.
Seeing
in
it
that, right?
tomorrow.
You're seeing it tomorrow. Yeah. It might be enough to get me to go see that movie because I like.
I think Warcraft is going to be a film we're going to have to talk about one day.
Yeah, I agree.
It is a textbook movie that we talked about, Blank Check, just like, why was all this money spent? Because the reaction is either people saying, that was the worst film I ever saw in my entire life.
Yeah.
Or people saying, like, I don't know. I think I enjoyed it. Like, but without really being able to defend it.
Can I just, like, stump for a second here?
Yeah.
So Warcraft cost a lot of money to make, right?
Yeah.
And it's based on this big property that's existed for a long time that has, like, passionate defenders. It's like a sensitive,
for 20 years.
right, sensitive material, right? Like, sort of, like, holy material to its fan base. How many times are we fucking reading pieces where, like, studio executives are saying, like, look, just there aren't enough women who are bankable enough. There aren't enough non-white men who are bankable enough. There aren't gay actors who are bankable enough to lead a big blockbuster. Who's the fucking lead of Warcraft? Who is this fucking Jamoke with the beard?
Travis Fimmel. He's in Vikings.
Oh, of course, Travis Fimmel for Vikings.
Vikings.
He can carry a $200 million movie.
No, I agree with you.
What the fuck is, like? Because here's the thing: if you're going like, oh, Taylor Kitsch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's unproven, but he's doing 4 of these at the same time. We think maybe we could balance this thing on him. Who fucking knows Travis Fimmel?
I have to disagree with you. Taylor Kitsch is the exact same scenario. I'm sorry. I like Taylor Kitsch. I think he was great on Friday Night Lights, and I get why studios all wanted to bank on him, but it's the same objectionable thing. Find actors of color who are unproven.
I think both are shitty.
Both shitty. Sorry. Travis Fimmel is on a successful TV show that people like.
But here's the difference.
Like, I don't like it or
I
anything,
guess
but
here's the one marginal difference for me why I find Travis Fimmel even like a step beyond, right? I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying one's worse than the other. The
They're
Travis
both
Fimmel
bad.
thing is, for me, I remember when Friday Night Lights was on, everyone was like, this Taylor Kitsch guy, someone should put him in movies.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like people wanted to see him in movies. He wasn't a big deal, but anyone who watched that show was like, he should be in movies. I haven't heard anyone ever fucking say Travis Fimmel's name.
He's good in Maggie's Plan.
Oh, great. Give him a $200 million blockbuster?
Dude, I'm sorry. I don't disagree with your point. I violently disagree with you on the Taylor Kitsch thing. It's the same shit. It's the same shit
I think
Hollywood
Travis
pulls
Fimmel
all the
was
time.
a step worse.
No, it's the same shit Hollywood's always pulled. And it would be worse only if Taylor Kitsch had been in one movie, but he was in multiple giant blockbuster
I guess maybe that
franchises.
evens it out.
It was egregious.
He got like 3 at the same time.
And not only that, he never should have done it anyway because it fucked his own career. Like, he was an idiot for signing up for John Carter, playing Gambit, and there's another big one, Battleship.
Yeah.
What the fuck was he thinking? Now, at least Battleship makes sense because it's a Peter Berg movie, and Peter Berg made Friday Night Lights, so you can see why Peter Berg is like, okay,
But
here's a guy
don't
for me.
sign up for all 3. Pick one. Pick one, bro.
It's just, the mistakes that actor made, and I love Taylor Kitsch. I think he's a very charming actor in the right situation. Still, it really makes me mad. But then the same Tim, Gaius Charles, who played, not Street. I'm trying to remember their names on a Friday Night. Did you watch Friday Night Lights?
I didn't watch Friday
Oh,
Night Lights,
shit.
yeah.
What the? I'm going to have to look it up because it's driving me crazy. They all have, kind of silly. Oh, Smash Williams. That's his name. Right.
Well, what is his name? Smash Williams.
He's black. He's a black
Okay.
actor. He was.
That's a great name, Smash Williams.
He's great. They've all got great. Jason Street, Smash Williams, and
That's incredible.
whatever Taylor Kitsch's character's name,
Yeah.
Tim Riggins. He's had no career. He's like a guest star on Grey's Anatomy. Like, it's nothing. Like, it's right there. It's stark. It's laid out for you right there. What happens here?
Michael B, though.
Yeah, Michael B, who of course was
He's
on
got the
the
biggest
later
film career
seasons
of
of
anyone.
Friday Night
Yeah.
Lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great. More of that, please.
Yeah.
More of that.
Anyway,
Sorry, you got my goat there. But I mean, I don't like Travis Fimmel either. Like, being in movies.
I'm not saying
I assume they
Taylor
wanted.
Kitsch thing should have happened. I want to make that clear. The Travis Fimmel one, I was like,
It's bad.
who the fuck is this?
It's bad.
I hadn't even heard of him
My
before.
guess is they were just like, well, we need kind of Viking types, right? Because isn't this like medieval? Like, they probably weren't thinking very hard about it. Get the
It's just
Vikings guy.
crazy to
I mean,
me.
Dominic Cooper is in it. It's a lot of
Yeah.
no-name white guys are in that movie.
Yeah.
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 I feel like Ben Foster,
Yeah.
the king of no-name white guy performance. I mean, I love Ben Foster once in a while, but
I love him once in a while.
I think he plays a goofy wizard in this, and I'm interested to see it.
Yeah. Paula Patton, though.
Well, but this is the thing, Paula Patton, but they totally screw her over. She's like crazy green, like CGI with big teeth, and
Right. Like,
she gets bad roles.
philosophically, I hate that she can only be in a movie like that
Yeah.
if she's green.
What was the other thing that she's
But on
in
a
this
base
year?
level, I like green ladies.
Well, no, nothing
That's
wrong
the
with a
problem.
green lady.
I
Like, I
do-
enjoyed Zoe Saldana in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Me too. I like green
Without,
ladies.
Oh, the other thing she's in this year. Oh, what a bummer.
The do-over.
What a bummer. Yeah, the Adam Sandler Netflix film.
Whoever's got a pretty good cast.
Paula Patton's so good in Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I'd kept her on.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Although Rebecca Ferguson was bomb.
Well, here's a crazy idea. Have both.
What? One woman. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
what
I'm
if-
joking. I know.
What if
I
Paula
know.
Patton was still part of the team and Rebecca Ferguson still had the exact same plotline?
Especially because Paula Patton didn't have any there wasn't a romantic plotline with Tom Cruise per se.
Pointedly didn't have
Exactly.
a romantic
Whereas
plotline.
Rebecca Ferguson, there's more of that going on. What do you think, Ben? Sometimes I love to throw to bed just so freeze up.
I have been tuning out this whole part because
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Uh,
One thing you do know that we're talking about is the Ben surprise.
So let's talk about the Ben surprise.
The big Ben surprise. Do we have any... Well, I guess we'll say goodbye to the Wachowskis right at the end. Holy shit.
I'm not doing well,
Yeah.
folks.
The Big Ben surprise.
Yeah.
Cue it up for us.
Okay. So we wanted to do a palate cleanser. This is the end of the Wachowski. We're going to get to our final Wachowski thoughts. And we were looking, what's a good palate cleanser? Because we didn't really do one. Batman vs. Superman ended up being our lost episode. We wanted to do one miniseries.
Mhm.
All these ideas within our things we talked about before, but we're looking long term. And we're like, someone would suggest something, and we'd go like, but we might want to do that director at one point. Do we want to take that off the table? And then if we do that miniseries later, do we have to do it again? What are we going to do? How do we do one that doesn't cancel it out? I said the only option is Old Dogs. David said no.
Yeah, I did. I said no.
I said Old Dogs, though.
Mhm.
He said no, though.
Yeah, that's correct.
And then I said, wait a second. Ben, what's your favorite movie ever?
Yeah, we just threw to Ben. Like, just Ben, off the top of your head.
And you were like, how would that be a blank check? And I was like, what if the blank check is we're giving Birthday Benny, the peeper himself, the blank check?
Now, I want to make it clear. I was very in support of this idea.
But I had
Like,
to,
when you... Because,
once that angle was
Well, I
revealed
want to
to
say, like, the real evolution was, I was like, I really don't want to do Old Dogs. Maybe if we called it, like, Griffin's Choice,
Right.
and, like, then I get to pick a movie that you don't really want to do someday. Then you said, what if it was Ben's Choice?
And, you've said before, we do this podcast. This podcast is done to Ben.
Sure, it is. He just now was tuning out our annoying, chattering voices.
But people love it when Ben gets passionate about something, when he finds something he really wants to fight for. So he said, what's the movie that Ben wants to fight for the most?
Yeah.
And Ben has the floor, and for once the tables are turned, and Ben gets to sell us on a movie.
Yeah.
And I said, Ben, what would that movie be?
Just fire it out. Fire the first name out of your head.
And this was a three-way text conversation we were having, right?
Yep.
The response came in within 3 seconds, which factoring in signal times means
Amazing.
he probably typed it in within 1 second,
Yes.
right? And he responded with a single word.
Yes.
And that word, Ben, would you like to share that one word with the audience?
Sure. It was Fletch. The Chevy Chase film from 1985.
We said, Ben, you can vouch for any film. Ben's
The Michael Ritchie detective comedy. Yes.
followed by Fletch Lives. Ben, you can
Right.
pick any film in history.
Yeah.
And Ben said, I want to fight for Fletch.
I love Fletch.
Fletch.
So next week we'll be covering Fletch.
Here's one thing I want to say about
Ben's
this.
got the check and he's cashing it in on Fletch.
That's right.
Here's one thing I want to say about this.
Yeah.
I've never seen Fletch.
I have.
Okay.
I think it's fun.
Ben's gonna be fighting for Fletch.
That's what I'm excited for. Ben's gonna fucking fight for Fletch.
Well, it's the kind of comedy movie I like where it's all about the jokes, right? And a lot of the times the jokes break momentum. The story isn't even that good. But I don't know. I for whatever reason, as a kid, I was obsessed with this movie. I could quote like it at length. So
it's all about ball bangers these days.
it is. I'll have a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich.
Yeah. Charge it to the underhills.
Guys, don't
It's
spoil
got some
the
good
jokes
jokes.
for me.
sorry.
Don't
Yeah,
spoil
yeah,
the
sorry.
jokes.
But next week, Ben's taking the reins.
Yes.
We're talking Fletch.
Yes.
This
And
is
then-
exciting too because David's never seen this movie.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting balance. Someone who loves Fletch, someone who's fine with Fletch, and someone who's never seen
Never
Fletch.
seen Fletch.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're gonna do our next miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah, about Cameron Crowe.
We've officially decided, here's why we're doing Cameron before James. We respect your votes.
Yeah.
We're doing James right afterwards.
Cameron and Cameron.
Yes. The reason we're doing Cameron first is that
It's
Roadies...
pure cynical marketing.
Yeah. Roadies premieres in June, and we think
Late
it would be
June.
nice to dovetail in with that. You know?
Yeah.
It's he'll be on our minds.
He's got a Showtime show for people who don't know what Roadies is. Yeah, it's his new show on Showtime. Yeah.
And it's possibly a redemption moment for him.
Could be.
Maybe, a new medium will revitalize him.
Mm-hmm.
And if we did James Cameron first, by the time we got to Cameron Crowe, and we're then trying to talk about Roadies, it would be, either it'll be a done deal, people will like it and it won't be exciting, or it'll be over and we'll be beating a dead horse.
Because you know what this podcast is we talk about fresh stuff, like the Animatrix, you know? We really like to be on topic.
Keep it fresh.
Fresh. So anyway, the Fresh Maker... no, we actually have to name the podcast. I don't know what we're going to call the Cameron Crowe podcast yet. I guess we'll think about
Pod
that.
had me at cast. Show me the podcast.
I mean,
had some
you
suggestions.
had me at podcasting is a pretty delightful, simple. It's so silly.
You like podcasting rather than podcast? Because it's just hello. It's not you had me at helloing.
There's something so funny about it to me.
You had me at podcast.
Yeah, you had me at podcast.
Yeah.
It just feels so sudden. You had me at podcast.
Well, I mean, feel free to write in names. But
We'll think about other stuff too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Almost podcasters.
Yeah, something like that. We'll do something like that. We're not going to call it like Podmarin Castro.
Castro.
Yeah, right. It's not
Castro.
Yeah, exactly.
We bought a podcast?
We bought a podcast. See, here's the
Podcast Town?
Podcast Town.
Podcasting Town?
Podcasts. For singles? You get it?
I do.
That film, the only acting appearance of Tim Burton. I'm sure we'll talk about that at length.
Podcast anything.
Yeah.
We're almost done.
Yeah. Pod Anycast.
Okay. Yeah.
Did we get through all of them?
Well, we haven't done Aloha. It's a hard one to do. Podlo?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so next week, Talking Fletch. Week after that, podcast me at hello.
Oh, God.
Podcast me at hello is kind of fun.
You had me at podcast is good, man.
Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I'll be
We
better.
always argue over the name.
I know. I'll be better by then. I won't be sick. It'll be easier to sound
and then
listen to. Yeah.
After that, we will do
James Cameron.
James Cameron.
I promise you.
I just feel like a break from genre filmmaking. This is the argument I was making to Griffin.
Yeah.
It would be nice, just a little bit of a different stream before we dip into literally the most famous genre filmmaker of all time.
And look, both the Camerons
who
are pretty,
never made a non-genre movie.
Both the Camerons are pretty close in voting. We're just gonna do both of them. We're flipping the order from how you want it, but it was close enough. And I hope you respect our reasons and you don't take it personally. We love you.
Yeah, we love you.
Cherish your opinions.
We do, but also, it's like if you don't like it, it's our podcast.
And
it's a free podcast.
And let's say this. If you're wondering what the next palate cleanser would be after that, little teaser, we then kept the text thread going because you were like, wait, I want to hear what other stuff Ben likes. Ben, tell me other movies you like. And Ben started listing movies.
Yeah.
And at one point we said, what's your absolute number one favorite movie? Not what movie would you most like to talk about in the podcast. Not what movie do you most want to defend.
Mm-hmm.
What's your number one, with a bullet, all-time history of cinema favorite movie? And Ben's answer was?
The Man Who Knew Too Little.
The Bill Murray comedy from
the John Emile joint.
97.
Which I saw as a child,
Me
haven't
too.
seen since.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Remember
definitely.
him in a Russian hat.
Yeah, me too.
That's all I remember. So maybe one day we'll do The Man Who Knew Too Little.
I also said Stargate. I like Stargate
that I
a
really
lot.
wanted to do, but
Yeah.
Griffin was like, maybe we'll do Roland Emmerich one day, and I was like, what?
You should totally fucking do Roland Emmerich.
I don't
want
to do him. He's made too many, crappy little movies.
I love Dare to Tomorrow.
Ugh.
I love.
I just feel like
Dare to
that's
Tomorrow.
so far down the road, and also, but Stargate is bonkers. Can't deny that.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever see Anonymous?
No, I haven't seen
Kind of fun.
Anonymous.
We also get to talk Stonewall.
Give me 100. Oh yeah, that's one of the worst films I've ever seen. That's one of the worst films I've ever seen. I saw that movie. Did you see it?
didn't see
It's
it.
so bad. Yeah, give me $100 million. Oh, what for? Listen to this. A scientist played by James Spader goes through a portal to ancient Egypt, but they're really aliens. Here you go, writing the check. Let's do it. This will be the first movie to ever have a website.
Who's the villain? Oh, Jay Davidson.
Yeah, Academy Award nominee Jay Davidson, who is the dude who everyone thought was a lady in The Crying Game.
And never
he plays
acted again.
Ra.
Those are the only two film performances from Jay Davidson.
Pretty good, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, batted 100.
Got an
Batted
Oscar
1,000.
nom for one, got an action figure from the other. Book closed.
They didn't stop there. They made a show out of it.
Oh boy.
They did. They made several shows out of it. I think there are 3 different Stargate shows. Is that possible?
Oof.
I think there's Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate SG-1,
Atlantis,
Stargate Atlantis, and
believe-
Stargate Universe.
Am I wrong in thinking there was also a Stargate animated series at some point?
No.
Stargate the animated series?
I don't know. Maybe. MacGyver was in Stargate SG-1.
Yeah, I know.
MacGyver.
Anyway,
we're not doing Stargate, so I don't know why we're talking so much about Stargate.
because we might do Stargate at some point.
So that's that, and that's that. And so any last thoughts on the Wachowskis? We didn't really relate these to the Wachowskis, but that's because the Wachowskis didn't have as heavy a hand in the Animatrix. But these are all, it's just cool to see people playing in their world. And Griffin, what are you looking at?
I'm trying to pull up something. It'll make sense in a second. Say your final thoughts on the Wachowskis.
I'm going to miss them. I think they're some of Hollywood's most just boldest voices, and I'm just going to miss talking about their movies. I was so happy to talk about all these movies.
I really enjoyed actually getting to see the full Matrix trilogy.
Yeah.
I really got won over, like a lot of our listeners, to Speed Racer, and Jupiter Ascending was great too. And I think that I like that they're filmmakers that have really big ideas, because I like big things.
I do too. I think they're great. I will say, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I kept on saying, like, we do this, that's our struggle. Like, they were saying, like, we and our. And he was like, what's with all this, like, lofty we and our stuff? And I was like, I honestly think that's just I've been watching Wachowski movies for, like, the last 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Like, they've really kind of made me, when you see them all in a row like this, you get into this very sort of humanist, like, empathetic
Absolutely.
sort of space.
And this is a time when we need a lot of that.
We need some
It's
Wachowskis.
a bit of a grim time in the world. I just watched like 3 hours of Donald Trump on my TV last night, I feel like.
Yeah, can I say something? I don't like that guy.
I'm glad you said it, brother.
Yeah.
I don't like him either.
No, but and I don't know if I'm going to get controversial when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I not like him, I don't want him to be president of the United States.
I agree with you.
Watch us lose a bunch of listeners. What if it turned out that all of our listener base was like just big Trump heads?
I'm just looking at our podcast reviews for the first time in a while. Have you seen these?
Yeah, there are a couple of really weird ones. I thank the Wachowskis for helping my worldview. I love them. I want them to get to make more movies again. I hope we're lucky enough. With a week's distance, I definitely appreciate Sense8 a little more for what it is. But like, I want to see them making tight, fucking motion picture extravaganzas.
Yeah,
on
and
a
I hope
big
they do
screen.
again. And when they do, we'll be there.
Oh, we'll be there, open day.
Yeah. All right. So what do you want to read from
And
your
our
phone?
promise, if there's another Wachowski, we're doing a one-off. To always know, any filmmaker we've covered, if they have a new film coming out, we're going to go back to the well.
Here are the filmmakers we'll do. George Lucas.
Georgie Porgy.
Anything in the Star Wars series.
Mm-hmm.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Wachowskis. All added to the roster.
All added to the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a sequel to The Judge.
Oh,
Yeah.
Judge 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a real cliffhanger at the end of the film. You wonder if he's going to become a judge. I would like to do a little merchandise spotlight.
Go ahead.
Because there is one piece of merchandise that is showcased specifically
What is it?
the Samsung SPH N270,
What's that?
the Matrix phone.
You mean that weird phone that she drops in Final Flight of the Osiris?
Yes, which they made as a real phone.
Can you spell it out for me?
SPH N270. Made to resemble the phone used in The Matrix Reloaded and also the Final Flight of the Osiris.
Yeah, now, by the way, guys, this is not the actually cool phone that's just a normal sort of like slide phone that Neo uses in the first Matrix. This is the like really bonkers sci-fi phone that they all use in the sequels that is cool in its own way.
And I quote, the design crew of The Matrix worked closely with Samsung, developed a phone whose features and release date would coincide with the movie. Oh, nice that they made the release date coincide with the movie. Now, here's where I get tripped up. Ready?
Yeah.
The SPH N270 was not intended as a mainstream phone for everyday use.
Okay.
When have you ever heard anyone use the term mainstream phone?
I don't know.
You know that weird indie cell phone you have?
I don't know.
Mainstream. Instead, it was marketed solely to fans of the series as a piece of rare, high-quality merchandise.
Maybe it was super expensive. Maybe that's what that means.
Perhaps the most remarkable feature, it's a spring-loaded earpiece which snaps up to reveal the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the snap is, the screen covering is the ear. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
And then it says, where's the thing here? There's a section, relation to the Matrix. The green code on a black background made famous by the Matrix is found in many menus of the phone by default.
Right.
So it's got Matrix menus, which are probably just hard to read.
Probably really hard to read.
Phone is mostly made of black plastic, and the button shows stylized green digits.
Yeah.
The manual box and collector's tin also feature the Matrix code. And here's a good detail. The charger is the only item in the package with no reference to the Matrix film.
Thank you for all that, Griffin.
When it boots up, the Matrix is displayed on the screen.
Yes.
The phone's turned off. The message goodbye is shown, a manner reminiscent of Neo's first encounter with the Matrix.
Yeah.
And it comes with 3 screensavers themes.
All right. Enough. I'm turning your phone off. This can't be the end of the episode. This is so boring.
But can I just say, so it was a special edition. It cost $500.
Yeah, that's why.
There were 10,000 produced, and you could only use it on Sprint PCS. Here's my question. If you're going to make a big point of the fact that this phone is like, oh, it's meant for collectors, it's not a mainstream phone, it's not for everyday use, then why make it a fucking functional phone?
I don't know.
Make a high-quality replica, or make something I can use.
I don't know.
Who's
Weirdo.
Like, this is a display phone.
Joe,
make it a prop.
I got nothing to say to you about this. I don't care.
A merchandise spotlight.
I'm glad we don't do as many merchandise spotlights. I'll say that much.
I'm also just dying in here.
Yeah.
I'm
putting my stuff away right now.
Ben?
Yeah, what's up?
Would you happen to have any entries for the Burger Report?
Yeah.
I made burgers last night, but there
Really?
were no celebrities present.
I've eaten 4 in the last week, and I have seen 0
I'm
famous.
worried about you. There's too many burgers.
I'm not doing well. Yeah.
Okay, a burger report. Have I well, there's one that I don't think I'm all right, hold on. Give me a second here.
You're wondering whether you're allowed to share?
There's one, yeah, that I don't think I should.
Hot report being redacted before it's
Wow.
even shared. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Someday. But okay, for now, let's see. I want to get a good juicy burger report. Okay, here we go.
Juicy like a burger.
This is cool. This is a good one. So it was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. It was in New York.
Okay.
And a bunch of people came afterwards to the second floor, so they shut it down. And I was working the bar, but I had an opportunity to talk to Tom Waits a little bit. And
The great Tom Waits.
Very cool.
I was that very, very like you kind of just get desensitized because you're around so many of these like really huge people. But
Yeah, Ben knows from Famos. I mean, at this point, you can't blow Ben's mind.
right, but Tom Waits really like I was like very nervous around him. But yeah, I sold him on a burger, and he was like in his gravelly voice, like, "It's pretty good.
I'll have that burger.
This burger's good.
I like eating this burger."
So that was cool. And then I just talked to him at length about how I'm obsessed with Rain Dogs and Swordfish Trombones, which are like 2 of like I think his best albums.
I didn't know you were such a Waits fan.
Love Waits. I don't really like the 70s stuff, the kind of jazzy troubadour stuff, but I like all the like weird experimental avant-garde 80s, 90s stuff.
That makes sense. That fits in with the
That
Ben.
does sound like a
yeah.
Ben.
Now let me ask you. You said you had to sell him on the burger. Was it a hard sell? Was he showing resistance? And if so, how did you win him over?
Well, I went ahead and I talked to him about the burger being a mix that we do in-house, obviously, but a mix of it's got, different cuts. It's got some fat to it, and it's like just the superior burger, as well as it comes with this like really nice kind of like very strong, kind of bitey kind of blue cheese. I forget the brand that we used or the variety that we used. And then it's just got some really good shoestring fries tossed with olive oil and rosemary.
This podcast is so off the rails.
Do you not want to get that burger right now?
No, let's go get it. I mean, it sounds
I
amazing.
mean, how long has it been since you worked there, Ben?
Shit, a long time.
And even still, like, the sell's that good. I can't even imagine
good
how Waits
sell.
was hearing it,
Good
you know? mean, Waits must have gotten it hard.
Oh, boy.
Well, that's great. Of course, that brings us to the
There's
orange,
no orange
twist.
twist file.
There's no orange twist file.
No, there's not.
What are you talking about? There's no orange
There's
twist
no
file.
orange twist file.
Okay, fine. Tune in next week for the orange twist file. We'll do a big merchandise spotlight for Fletch.
Hopefully we'll have some cool guests coming up.
We'll do some Fletch fan fiction. We'll read some reviews next week, I think, because we do have some good reviews that we should read next
They're
week.
really weird.
They're really weird. But we need to give them their time and their space. We love the Wachowskis. Please come back to movies.
We miss
Hope
them.
to see you
They'll
soon.
come back. They're the greatest, and it's been so much fun talking about them, and I'm excited to talk about other people.
I'll say this. It's been a privilege to talk about them and to watch their films. It always is.
Yes.
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 All
right.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Please rate, review, subscribe.
All true.
If you have ideas, any pitches for what we should call our Cameron Crowe miniseries, please throw them out.
Yep. Into the garbage.
Yep. Throw them into your toilet and flush.
Mm-hmm.
And as always.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, nice to meet you. I'm Jim Stack.
This has been a UCB comedy production. Check out our other shows on the UCB Comedy Podcast Network.